Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to my Immortal weapon Iron Fist guide for Marvel Heroes Omega. Now we have a nice simple melee build here for Iron Fist, and it's one that provides a whole lot of survivability, because for me Iron Fist should be able to go toe to toe and get an enemy's face and fire off all those punches and kicks. That's where the fun really lies. So what we'll cover for the build is we will look at the skills and talents, we'll then check out the synergies, we will look at where we would place the first 100 infinity points, we'll check out the general gear and priority for the build, and then we finish up by doing some gameplay and a run through of the Times Square operation. But first up, let's check out the skills. So with Iron Fist we have a character that can be one of the most complex characters in the game depending on how you want to play him. It can actually be pretty simple to play as well. Now, you probably won't be surprised at the setup that I've decided to use, and the one that I enjoy is a nice simple one. Now he has his various different stances. In that respect he is actually quite similar to Star-Lord almost, in that Star-Lord has elemental ammo and that will change what his attacks do, and Iron Fist is the same idea. He's got his, if we scroll over, he's got his what's known as stance opener powers. So you've got Crane, Dragon, Serpent, Leopard and also Tiger. Now if we look down the bottom of the power assignment we can see I'm only using one, and that would be Crane. But what we'll do, we'll run through all the skills in order I would use them, and we'll provide rationale for that as well. So for your main spender, I currently have enough of his resource, which I can't remember if it's Chai or Chi, I'll get corrected in the comments no doubt. Now I have enough resource to actually spam this. It's Fury of 5 forces and you'll do additional damage, and it provides vulnerability as well. Now if you don't have enough of your resource you can use Kunlun Strike instead, so do bear in mind you've got that option there. For his first cooldown skill, this is great because it allows you to close in an enemy, you have Good Fortune Thunder Kick. Now in the Crane stance it does a nice damage blast in an area, so that always helps because we do struggle for AoE, but if I was to play an AoE type level I would switch over to Scarlet or Storm. I would never use Iron Fist for a level that required me to take out a lot of trash or anything like that. Now next up we then have Black Poison Touch. So this is fantastic, I love this. While in Crane stance you regenerate 35% of your maximum health, so as your health pool goes up the amount that it regenerates goes up as well, so it can really help his survivability. We then have Fury of 500 Fists, so we don't gain any kind of special stance opener stance in this one, but it does hit for a nice amount, and it's also 5 different hits, and on top of that you gain damage reduction while it's active, and this is another power that allows you to leap towards the enemy, so it allows you to close in on them. We then have 7 Armies Sundered. Again we don't gain any kind of bonus from this, but it's a nice hard hitting cooldown skill. It's got the 8-second cooldown, so it fits in well with the rest of the skills, and it fits in perfect with Crane Kick as well, because you can see that's got the 8-second cooldown. So the way you want to work the rotation is simply the order I've went through the skills in. Now when you do start off any kind of level, fire off Crane Kick at the start quickly to build up your resource. I will mention that. Now if we look at the signature, which we do have space for with this setup, it's like Unto Iron. So if we're in the Crane stance you gain a huge 50% health, and actually does a whole amount of damage as well. Now just very quickly before we go into the talent section, I'll mention that if I'm playing content and I find that I don't actually need the survivability that Crane stance offers, then I would switch over to the Tiger Scratch stance. This gives you a bonus to your critical hit rating. But if we go all the way back over to the skills, I did warn this would be a more complicated video, but if we go all the way back over to the skills, you can see Good Fortune Thunder Kick gains a bonus when you're in Tiger stance. It reduces the cooldown of stance opener powers, and also Fury of 500 Fists gains a whopping up to 62,000 damage on the final strike of the punches he does there, so that will really pull the damage on that skill up. So that's an option you do have. That's the great thing with this build, and you'll notice it when we look at the talents as well, that there's a lot of things you can switch about, so you can customise the build to one that you feel works for you. But next up, let's have a look at the talents. So with the talents here, the first three we look at are ones that we would use for the build with no variation. When we look at talent lines 4 and 5, that's when we can mix things up a bit and we can change how much survivability we want and how much offensive powers we want on them. But for the first talent, we have style for every situation. So with this, stance opener powers have 50% lower cooldown and share a cooldown with other stance opener powers. So that means you can use Tiger Scratch or Crane Kick on an 8-second rather than a 16-second cooldown, and that will help you to be able to actually use the main spender because you won't be running out of your resource because you'll be able to regenerate it every 8 seconds. We then have follow through. So with this, stance combo powers, of which we're using quite a few, deal 50% more damage if you are in one of their associated stances. So when we're in Crane stance, we have 2 that are buffed by it, and the same with Tiger stance. We'll also have 2 skills that will be buffed as well there. Now next up, it's Rolling Thunder. So stance opener powers grant a stack of mastery, increasing the power of the passive effect of that stance by 20%, all the way up to 100%. It resets if you use a different stance. Now the reason I've used this is because I only ever have one stance opener on my bar at a time. I'm not switching between them. This is the one to go for if you are doing that. We then have Deliberate Tempo. So with this one, Fury of 500 Fists, Good Fortune Thunder Kick and Black Poison Touch deal 100% more damage and have 100% longer cooldown. So this pulls them all up to the 8-second cooldown, so all your skills and stance openers match. Now if you want a bit more active playstyle, you'll choose a different actual talent here, and then it means these 3 skills have a 4-second cooldown, meaning obviously you spam them more often, the build is a bit more active, but it also means you get that 35% heal on Black Poison Touch from Crane Kick every 4 seconds. That's a 35% heal every 4 seconds. Absolutely incredible. But another option you could change it to if you wish, if you want to go for the 4-second cooldowns, is Ripple on the Pond, and with that, stance opener powers will trigger a Chi Burst or Chi Burst. It's not the most powerful talent, but it's the best option if you want to go for the lower cooldowns on your remaining skills. For the final talent, we have Crimson Hammer. So with this, Meditation transforms into Crimson Hammer, and this doesn't regenerate health like the other version of it would, but it increases your critical hit and brutal strike chance by a nice amount, as well as your damage, and also, more importantly, like Unto Iron, your signature triggers Crimson Hammer, because we don't actually have space on our bar for it, so every time we use our signature, we're essentially getting a steroid packed in with it as well, which is great. Now, there are options you have here. If you want to go for a more offensive build with the Tiger Scratch stance, you can go for Chi Surge, and with this one, Meditation transforms into Chi Surge, and it does not regenerate health but refreshes all cooldowns except for your signature, so you can really hit for a lot. You'll fire off all your 4 cooldown skills, use this, and then you can fire them all off again. Now alternatively, if you wish to go for a more defensive orientated build, you have Balance of Chi. I do hope this is Chi and not Chai, because I do realise I keep saying it, but you have this one here, and it grants invulnerability and extends the healing effects to all nearby allies when you do use it there. But next up, what we'll do is have a look at the synergies. As always, then, we start off by looking at the primary attribute synergies, and his primary attribute is Strength and Fighting, so that's covered by Ant-Man and War Machine. We then have the more generic ones, which are Blade, Hawkeye, Hulk, She-Hulk and Squirrel Girl, and then the synergies that are specific and work well on Iron Fist are ones that are mainly around the melee side of things, or even hand to hand as well, and they are Daredevil, Iron Fist not surprisingly, and also Nightcrawler as well can work great for them. But next up, what we do is look at the Infinity Point allocation, and we will check out where we place the first 100 points. So for this section, we have the old trusty Deep Thought node, and that is under the Mind Gem. So we use this so that we have additional resource which will allow us to actually use a spender which does more damage as our main filler. So really nice and simple there. What you will do is you gain more points, get to the point where you feel comfortable that you're not running out of your resource at all, and you can spam all your skills, and then I would start to potentially put them into health, because that works great with the Black Poison Touch 35% heal, because it's 35% of your max health, so if you boost your health up, you'll really be able to make them nice and tanky. But next up, what we do for the video is we will check out the general gearing priority. with this gearing section, then what we do as always is we look at the general guidelines of where you want to go with the character, and the reason I do that is when new items come out in future, you can apply these general guidelines to the new items to let you know what you want to equip. Now, builds generally are formed around the legendary, so I'll show this off first. And the perfect legendary for him is the golden mace. It has health and defense, and it has a nice defensive rank 5 proc as well. On top of that, it has damage rating to melee powers, and all of our powers bar 1 are tagged melee. And then it has 1500 critical hit rating to hand powers, and all of our powers are actually tagged hand to hand, so that's perfect there. Now, for the reason that we have critical hit rating for all our powers, when it comes to your slot 1 to 5 and your artifacts to an extent, look out more for the damage and also the brutal strike rating as well. Of course, look out for your primary attribute on the artifacts of fighting and strength. For the medallion, one that works great on them would be the Dr. Octopus medallion, because this gives you a huge buff to melee powers, and as mentioned a moment ago, the majority of our skills are melee. And then finally we look at the relic, and Relic of Asgard, again because it has the buff to melee powers there. But what we'll do next to show off the video and to show off how the rotation works and all the skills fit together is we have a run through of the Times Square operation where we face off against various Ultron sentry bots. The reason I've chosen this level is Iron Fist is most definitely a single target hero. He excels at that. He's not the best at AoE, and that's why I've done a level where I can show off his actual boss killing skills and how we can go toe to toe with bosses. Now, just quickly before we show the gameplay, I'll mention as always that the actual difficulty on this one, it's just heroic. The reason for that, as you can see, is I don't have my legendary leveled, I don't have any special gear on him, and the purpose of the gameplay is purely to show off how the build actually works as opposed to how it would work with best in slot gear. Now, as always really, I hope this was useful. If there's any questions or anything else, feel free to ask, and I'll see you all again soon.
Show me where to unleash the fury.
The sweet sound of physical duress